Maslow's need hierarchy model, I do want you to remember the order of the needs. You need to take care of the lower needs first. They are the most powerful ones. Physiological needs. Then you have to take care of safety needs. Then belonging and love. And then esteem needs, which involve both self-esteem and the esteem of others. And if all those basic needs have been taken care of, at least to a certain extent, you can start functioning at the higher level, the self-actualization level, the level where you are making actual what's potential. You're becoming the full human being you can be. But first you need to satisfy the more basic needs. That's why Maslow says bread before Bach. Yeah? You need bread before you can enjoy the music of Bach. That is a higher need. Now, self-actualizing behaviors are all intrinsically motivated. Intrinsic motivation means that the reward is in the activity itself. You do something just because you enjoy doing it, not because you're trying to get something extra out of it. So the person who climbs a mountain or paints a landscape or watches a sunset or plants a garden just because it's enjoyable, just for the sake of doing it, is working at the self-actualizing level. The person who does it in order for the neighbors to notice, in order to get a certificate, in order to make money, in order to get a medal, he is controlled by extrinsic motivation. He's still dealing with the lower need levels. And remember that extrinsic motivation can undermine intrinsic motivation. If you find somebody who's doing something just for the love of it, leave them alone. Don't start paying them for doing it. Because if you do that, they're going to attribute their behavior to the money. And the moment you stop giving them money, they will quit doing it. So that the self-actualizing behaviors in general are intrinsically motivated. So there might be some questions giving you examples. Which of the following is somebody who is working under self-actualization? So you have to look for, is this person doing something just for the joy of it? Just to grow, to become more fully human? Or is he doing it because of a necessity? He's doing it because he needs to make money to feed his family. But obviously he's not working the self-actualizing level. If he's doing something because it's beautiful, it's enjoyable, that is more likely to be a self-actualizing behavior. Now remember the Yerkes Dodson law. When you're doing a difficult task, it is better to have a low level of motivation. When you're doing an easy task, it is better to have a high level of motivation. But the reason is that if the task is easy, then it's good to have high motivation because the first answer that pops up is only the right one. So it's okay to want to solve the task really bad. But if it's a difficult task, you don't want to be desperate to solve the task. Because if you're desperate, you grab onto whatever answer seems to pop up first. And that's probably the wrong answer. That's why it's a difficult task. So it's much better to have low motivation so you can take your time, you can look at the task from different angles, and gradually figure out what's going on. Then we looked at conflicts. Remember the different types of conflict. The approach, avoidance, avoidance. Remember that the approach avoidance conflict is one where the problem is that the tendency to avoid increases faster. The closer you are to anything you fear or you love, the more you want it or the more you fear it. But the tendency to be afraid increases faster. So if something has both positive and negative aspects, the closer you come to it, the more the negative aspects scare you off. And the further away that you get, the more the positive aspects bring you back. If you have a situation where you have to choose between the pan and the fire, and avoidance, most people would prefer not to make the choice and just escape the feeling. I don't want to study French, I don't want to study history, I'm going to the movies. That is escaping the feeling. That's the preferred solution. Of course, sometimes you can't do that. You have to study one or the other. No matter what you choose, it's unpleasant. That is the avoidance problem. Remember that they are adaptive ways of coping. And let's back off for a second. First, let me mention before I forget that you need to remember the general adaptation syndrome from Hans Selye. If somebody is exposed to stress, the first stage is alarm. The person kind of panics and tries to get away. If he cannot get away and is continually exposed to stress day after day, the person gradually adapts to it. And is in the resistance stage. The person seems to be functioning more or less normal in spite of the stressor. But eventually, because of the production of hormones like adrenaline, noradrenaline, so on inside the person, the body starts breaking down, and you switch into the exhaustion stage. So the order of the stages are alarm, resistance, exhaustion. The exhaustion stage is fascinating because it shows that psychological stress alone can produce physical illness. The whole area of psychosomatic illness has developed from this. In other words, illnesses which affect the body but are caused by psychological stress. Bleeding ulcers, for example, migraine headaches, some forms of allergies, digestive disorder. All of those things can be part of the exhaustion state. Of course, at an extreme, the person will die. Just like the rats die in the Sandy experiments after being exposed to shocks and other stresses for a long time. Now, if you are blocked in getting something, there are adaptive and there are defensive ways of coping. The adaptive ways are three. Confrontation. You don't accept the barrier. You're going to go through the barrier or around the barrier. But you have to take a difficult course in order to get that degree. Where you study like crazy, if you don't pass the course, you take it again, and you don't give up, and you do. So that's confrontation. One. The second solution that is adaptive is compromise. Compromise is substitution. You have to take this very difficult course in order to get this degree. So you figure, okay, why don't I get a different degree that doesn't require a different course? Or you're in love with Mary, Mary tells you to drop dead, so you decide that Sally looks pretty nice too. So you compromise a substitute and take care of the problem. The third possibility is withdrawal. You give it up. You realize you can't handle this and you just abandon it. That still solves the problem. So any of those three solve the problem you confront. Which one is better depends on the circumstance. But very often we use defensive coping. Defensive coping that distorts what's going on, distorts reality. Now, all defense mechanisms have three things in common. They operate unconsciously. You're not aware when you're using defense mechanisms. They are self-deceptive. See, they distort reality as a person comes to believe in the distortion of reality created by defense mechanisms. And the third thing they have in common is they only accomplish one thing, to reduce anxiety. They don't solve the problem. So all the ones we have been covering, repression, remember making something unconscious, projection, attributing to someone else something you don't want to recognize in yourself, reaction formation, doing the opposite of what you really want to do, to prove to yourself you didn't want to do that, but maybe still get your way somehow. And then things like fixation and regression, rationalization, giving plausible excuses, displacement, directing the emotion towards the less dangerous target, which is socially acceptable as a sublimation, denial, pretending something doesn't exist, intellectualization, using abstraction to protect yourself from experiencing emotions, which is a form of denial, and undoing, doing something to cancel out the guilt or the anxiety produced by something you did earlier. All of those things are defensive coping. You're not mentally ill if you use defensive coping occasionally. If you use them all the time, and they are the only way you have to deal with problems all the time, then of course you have to make a problem. Then you need help. If you use a defense mechanism occasionally, everybody does. It doesn't make you abnormal.